This episode of Snapshots of the Fool examines the Fool card from the TV series Tarot deck by artist David Corsi. This is a themed deck where each of the 78 cards in the deck is based on a different TV series, and the Fool card depicts the fourth regeneration of the Doctor from the long-running series Doctor Who. Corsi's interpretation is easily recognisable as the Fool, and generally holds true to the familiar Rider-Waite-Smith structure, but with a few differences and tweaks that made exploring this card a lot of fun. With any themed deck, we find a massive backstory that affects and enhances how we view the card. Given that there are multiple ways to interpret the Fool card in any setting, including the original Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the themed approach adds a further layer of complexity, with potential to inspire or confuse where the artwork appears to contradict the meaning that we normally associate with the Rider-Waite-Smith Fool. We decided to tackle this by allowing the characters in the Doctor Who card to speak for themselves in describing the Fool. Arthur Waite, author of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, could have easily been referring to this version of the Fool when he wrote, "The Fool is a prince of the other world on his travels through this one. He is the spirit in search of experience." So what's recognisable in this snapshot of the Fool? The Fool is heading out on a new adventure, on a journey with excitement and optimism. He's carrying a staff and a bag with the few belongings he's chosen as essential for his journey slung casually and precariously at the end. He has a familiar companion dog at his side, albeit this version of the dog is a robot named K9. We see the cliff edge right in front, and the Fool is about to step off without a moment's thought. What's unusual is that, although we know K9's task is to warn the Doctor of danger, he looks just as excited and keen as the Fool. Just look at those eyes and that tail. So what's different in the symbology? Firstly, the red feather in the Fool's hat. This is a familiar symbol in the Rider-Waite-Smith's tarot, but we know this isn't part of the Doctor's costume. Corsi has exercised his artistic license and made wonderful connections that join the theme of the deck to the tarot. In this case, the red feather provides insight into the Doctor's underlying character that is consistent across all his regenerations and identities. That is, his passionate nature, highly evolved ego, and the ability to fly in any direction through time and space. Instead of the familiar Rider-Waite-Smith white rose that we often see carried by the Fool in their left hand, the Doctor carries his sonic screwdriver. We know this doesn't signify purity or innocence, and we know it's just a tool because he tells us so in one of the episodes. Again, I think Corsi has been wonderfully creative and humorous in reminding us how important his future companion Rose will be to the Doctor, although Doctor number 4 has never met her.
Do you think I might attract attention?
Traditionally, in the Rider-Waite-Smith system, the Fool's clothes are carefully chosen prior to departing on the new adventure to identify and give us something about who the Fool is and provide clues to the purpose of the journey. This card is no exception, and the Fourth Doctor is instantly recognisable by the outfit he wears. What stands out for us in the Fourth Doctor's costume is his multicoloured scarf, which of all the Doctors is the closest match to a Fool-like rainbow.
Well, how about this?
Much better, Doctor. Now, if you've quite finished with your wardrobe...
I'll try again if you like.
No, let's settle for that, please. Now...
Each Doctor's clothing is always the same for him, and completely different from the other regenerations. I've often wondered whether we're supposed to assume that each regeneration has an endless wardrobe in the TARDIS full of identical clothes. Let's face it, he crawls around in some fairly grubby places, but always manages to look clean. Like Superman and other major archetypal fantasy characters, the costume reveals much about the Fool's personality and abilities, but nothing about the minor details of his daily life. Only Batman had Albert to do his laundry. Unlike other Fool cards, we know there are multiple companions for this Fool, as the Doctor has multiple lives. Many types of companions come and go, some of them to support him and some to challenge, and many of them to do both. The TARDIS, for one, is a major companion that evolves to meet the needs of a new Doctor each time he dies and then regenerates. Its function is to transport him inside the universe, but it doesn't always obey the Doctor's instructions, and sometimes takes him where he needs to be, rather than where and when he intended to go.
Oh, what do you call me? We travel. I go
The Tart.
time and relative dimension in space. Yes, that's it. Names are funny. It's me. I'm the TARDIS.
No, you're not. You're a bitey mad lady. The TARDIS is up and downy stuff in a big blue box.
Yes, that's me. A Type 40 TARDIS. I was already a museum piece when you were young. And the first time you touched my console, you
I said you were the most beautiful thing I'd ever known.
Then you stole me. And I stole you.
I borrowed you.
Borrowing implies the eventual intention to return the thing that was taken. What makes you think I would ever give you back?
You'll notice that the TARDIS is missing from the artwork in its familiar police box form, and it took me a while to find. Look again at the bag slung from the end of the stick, as though it could easily slip off at any moment. The bag, in my interpretation, is the TARDIS. It's bigger on the inside and carries all the Doctor's past and future selves, all his knowledge, and all his companions through time and space. The three objects that we can actually see poking out of the bag are recognisable and funny. The banana and Fez are ongoing jokes throughout the Doctor Who series, and the psychic paper is a joke on us. It's another form of tabula rasa, a blank piece of paper that the Doctor holds up and the viewer sees anything they want, providing what they see permits them to give the Doctor access and supports his purpose. What a useful tool. In this card, the TARDIS is disguised, and so is K9. Although he is the traditional Fool's loyal companion dog, his body resembles that of a Dalek, one of the Doctor's deadliest enemies. This gives us insight into the love-hate relationship the Doctor has with his enemies, who he regularly crosses paths with and learns so much from that they almost act as companion guides for him. But as we've seen in K9's expression, the Doctor's enemies are linked to his major Fool's risk, the precipice, but his war with them is not the risk. We'll get to the risk in due course. The list of the Doctor's other companions is long and complex, with his relationships spanning from one end of the universe to the other, and from the beginning of time to the very end. I could spend a long time exploring each rabbit hole with a companion's name, but I'm not going to. Other than the TARDIS and K9, who Corsi has disguised in this card, and the subtle reference to a future Rose, we don't see any other companions. So we know their stories are not part of this particular snapshot moment in the Fool's adventure. With companions of this calibre, the Doctor also doesn't need a separate spirit companion, and that's unusual in the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition. This Fool is fully connected to the universe, and has been since the age of 8 on his home planet, Gallifrey. He understands the wibbly-wobbly nature of time and space and can apply the universal laws at will. The TARDIS and the sonic screwdriver are universal tools he created, and they evolve as he does, part of his energy system, and also capable to some degree of free will and independence. K9 is a security and awareness tool, but also creates a link between the Doctor's needs, both as a Time Lord and as a regular Gallifreyan. Remember that the Doctor has 2 hearts, both of which need attention. His human, machine, and alien companions provide him with company and purpose, and they also act as guides along the way. Fairly regularly, the Doctor gets swept away in the moment, and sometimes loses sight of his purpose and even his personal values. His companions step in to warn him when he's gone off track, sometimes by simply being vulnerable, so he has to rescue them, and sometimes by a direct challenge that calls him out. The boundaries that are set in place when the Doctor has to stop what he's doing to help others is vital, both to his companions and to the Doctor, because life without boundaries can be risky. Like any fool, the Doctor needs to pay attention to life's little details and not simply focus ahead on the big picture, because it's solitary, impersonal, and easier. In summary, his companions fulfill 3 basic functions. The TARDIS leads the way, K9 warns of danger, and every other companion stops the Doctor going too far and too extreme, at the risk of losing everything.
He never raised his voice. That was the worst thing. The fury of the Time Lord. And then we discovered why. Why this Doctor, who had fought with gods and demons, why he'd run away from us and hidden. He was being kind. He wrapped my father in unbreakable chains, forged in the heart of a dwarf star. He tricked my mother into the event horizon of a collapsing galaxy, to be imprisoned there forever. He still visits my sister, once a year, every year. I wonder if one day he might forgive her, but there she is, can you see? He trapped her inside a mirror. Every mirror. If ever you look at your reflection and see something move behind you just for a second, that's her. That's always her. As for me, I was suspended in time, and the Doctor put me to work standing over the fields of England as their protector. We wanted to live forever, so the Doctor made sure that we did.
I considered the background detail that connects the planet behind the fall and the precipice in front. A range of possible rabbit holes opened up, but I've limited myself to a simple metaphorical conclusion that the Doctor is caught between a planet-sized rock and a very hard place. And this predicament is what carries him off the edge and into his risk. Stepping off the cliff isn't this fool's risk. He's fully aware of the precipice and is willingly stepping out into space because this risk reveals his purpose.
Who's coming to take it from me? Come on! Look at me! No plan, no backup, no weapons worth a damn. Oh, and something else I don't have. Anything to lose.
The Doctor is almost godlike, and the fool's risk he faces is how he'll use the power and understanding accessible to him, given that he's only a fool and is still learning.
I am not a good man. I'm not a bad man. I am not a hero. I am an idiot with a box and a screwdriver. Just passing through, helping out, learning.
As always, I check the tarot while considering this, and received the 6 of Swords and Justice, which identified the rabbit hole I should go down. The Doctor is always running, always attempting to evade or confront the things he's most afraid of, his responsibility in wielding the power that he holds, and the painful consequences that wrong action and poor decisions will have. He's also running towards action, towards fulfilling his responsibility as the only Time Lord who is willing to act. His fear is that he'll die too soon, without regenerating, and leave the universe to its fate.
Because this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to rescue her. I'm going to save Rose Tyler from the middle of the Dalek fleet, and then I'm going to save the Earth, and then, just to finish off, I'm going to wipe every last stinking Dalek out of the sky!
But you have no weapons, no defenses, no plan!
Yeah. And doesn't that scare you to death?
The third reason the Doctor is running is away from himself. He knows what he's capable of when overwhelmed by the weight of guilty memories that haunt him. If he ignores or overrules his companions, then he could destroy everything. This is the Fool's risk of ultimate pain and unleashed power. In one hand, the Doctor carries the scales of justice that weigh intention against outcome, and in the other is the two-edged sword that can strike down his enemies or cut through deceit and illusion, so he and his companions can make a clean getaway. Together, the Doctor, along with his guides and companions, always find a way through, no matter how difficult or scary the challenge or the enemy. He recognises that the essential key to resolving any challenge is to be kind. The single human attribute is immensely powerful and the hardest action to take when we're up against a rock and a hard place, and our hearts are filled with righteous indignation.
Winning? Is that what you think it's about? I'm not trying to win. I'm not doing this because I want to beat someone, or because I hate someone, or because I want to blame someone. It's not because it's fun. God knows it's not because it's easy. It's not even because it works, because it hardly ever does. I do what I do because it's right. Because it's decent. And above all, it's kind. It's just that. Just kind. If I run away today, good people will die. If I stand and fight, some of them might live. Maybe not many, maybe not for long. Hey, you know, maybe there's no point in any of this at all. But it's the best I can do. So I'm going to do it. And I will stand here doing it till it kills me. You're going to die too. Someday. What would that be if you thought about it? What would you die for? Who I am. It's where I stand, where I stand. It's where I fall. Stand with me. These people are terrified. Maybe we can help. A little. Why not? Just to the end. Just be kind.
It's always so easy to judge who is good and who is bad, isn't it? Thank you.